Good evening, everyone. Okay, welcome to tonight's quorum. We are happy to be County Commissioner to District 1, District 2. I hope the mics work. This one I keep moving. I'm usually pretty good at this. We got, oh, there's Tom. He's another wildcat. See, I know. Yeah. There's a whole story about when you grow up in Bremerton, you come to Mason County. Back when it was affordable. Oh, look at everybody. They're going, keep going here. I'm just waiting. All right, so, okay, we're going to, when I started, the question, or the job descriptions are pretty vast. I got, these people are asking for a job that would be a policymaker, budgeting, financial, county services, public representation, land use and zoning, human resources and staffing, public safety, law enforcement, infrastructure, intergovernment, whatever, dealing with each other, personal, relationships, that's the word. Public engagement, transparency, and population, oh, that's something else. Okay. They basically, you elect them to be an overseer. Now, when you do a form like this, you can't possibly ask every question in all of those areas. So the Allyn Association picked 5 questions. That's it. 5 that are important to at least our area. Okay? What's going to be a little bit different on this is I'm going to give each candidate, offer they get 3 minutes. We're going to do an introduction, then we're going to ask some questions, and then I'm going to choose somebody out of the audience that raises their hand, not a bunch of you, and do perhaps a follow-up question of what you just heard, so we get some interaction. Does that sound good? All right? Okay, so that's a little different on our forum, a nice, tidy, warm group. God, it is hot in here.
Good thing they're not asking you questions.
Okay, you can sit in the back now. So, with that said, once again, it's a 3 minute. Does that sound good to you guys? I know 2 minutes, kind of more, 3 minutes, okay. Patsy's going to raise her hand, and I'll say, Tom, button it up. You got it. Okay. All right. So, what side is this?
1.
District 1.
2.
Okay, they passed, yeah? Yes.
Is it correct that we will vote for both, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
In the
Yeah.
general.
Yeah, they're in the general. So, even though they're District 2, they have important things that are, kind of important. Okay, I'm going to start out at the end. And Pat, you're going to do your you know how they do the introduction, their spiel thing, their thing that they do? Right?
Elevator pitch?
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Elevator.
Pat, you're up. And you can use that if you want.
Well, thank you all for being here tonight. It's kind of warm, so it's really great. I'm very grateful to see you all here. My name's Pat Tarzwell. I'm for Mason County Commissioner, District 2. My wife is wandering about, she's way back there. I've been married to Sandy for 47 years. We have 3 kids and 5 grandkids. Well, a little bit about me. I love to sail. I love scuba diving, woodworking, and I'm passionate about U.S. history. So passionate that I ended up teaching the Constitution and Declaration for 2 years. For 33 years, I've been a small business owner. We run a manufacturer. Basically, it's a machine shop. We make tiny little components used in testing microelectronics. Well, in the process of doing that, I've become an innovator, a problem solver. I've got 5 patents, and that kind of goes to show that I can think outside the box and come up with unique solutions. So when I do that,
Turn up the volume, please.
I'll get closer. put the microphone in my mouth.
Yeah, do it this way, Donald.
Yeah, okay.
How's that?
Is that better? Okay. Now, I totally lost track of where I was, but that's okay. So, in the process of running my business, I've learned a whole lot of things where we have to learn to live within our means. You know, the county needs to make sure that our budget's taken care of and that we put money away for a rainy day. Well, the county's been pretty successful with that last several years, and I intend to continue that tradition. So we'll have to keep working at strengthening our financial position. Good news is, growth is coming our way. With that growth, we better be doing it in a smart way, being proactive instead of reacting to the growth. That's frequently what you do. The growth comes in, then you react, and it costs a lot more. For example, if you build the roads prior to the people driving on them, it costs less. If you put in the electrical systems and all of the systems you need prior to people being there, it costs less. So let's do it more efficiently and save the taxpayers money. You know, I should make a promise because all politicians promise. I promise we'll have air conditioning before this night. No, never mind, I won't do that. That's a lie, sorry. Can't do that. Anyway, I think I can bring a lot to Mason County.
I think you're up. You're done, Pat.
I'm done. Okay, well, thank you all for being here tonight.
Now, with the 3-minute thing, we will, on the questions, probably cover some of that, where you're heading. Well, big guy, Tom? Look at, I said big guy.
You're a little guy.
It makes sense.
Little guy.
Hey, y'all. Before I get started, I just want to say real quickly, as a person who's worked in Shelton and been around fundraising attempts and really working on community-oriented events for the last better than a decade of my life, I just want to say thank you to the Allyn Community Association. What they've done through Allyn Days is remarkable, and the way that it supports our community here is fantastic, and I just want to say thank you. My name is Tom Beben. I'm a candidate for County Commissioner in District 1. I moved to Mason County, District 2, sorry. I moved to Mason County in 2006, and my wife and I opened our first business and chased our dream in 2007. And that year we opened a 240 square foot takeout barbecue joint behind Domino's Pizza next to the homeless shelter. Between that day and today, we've seen our business grow and strive. We've had our struggles too, going through a pandemic and then a fire over the last year. But what has happened for us in this county over those 17 years has been absolutely remarkable. We have had the opportunity to actually live the American dream. It is alive and well here in Mason County. And I'm here today to tell you not only is it alive and well, but I really want, with all of my being, for everybody else in this community and in this county to have the same opportunity. I want to see us all grow and thrive and move forward. Thanks everybody for being here tonight, and I look forward to more questions.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, that was District 2. You're District 1.
You know that.
You're up, Randy.
Hello, everybody. My name is Randy Neatherlin. I am currently your Mason County Commissioner. I literally consider myself honored in a way that I'll never be able to explain or describe to you. A little bit about myself is I came here when I was 15 years old. I lived in Belfair. I lived in a little trailer with no power, no water. This place took me in and they raised me. They made me part of the family. I spent my Christmases and Thanksgivings at their houses. As they watched over and protected me, I tried my best to watch over and protect their kids. I had a whole group of girls that were called Randy's little sisters. If you wanted to go out and on a date with them, you had to come get my permission. I'd explain if you touch them, you hurt them, I'd come to your house. Because of that, they literally, as I said, took me in. I wasn't gonna mention my family, but sitting there talking, I do have a little bit different of a family. I have 4 kids. I'm married to my wife of 22 years. It's funny, I refused to date her, but she, after a while, called me up, asked my advice, and when I was done, she said, doesn't matter. I'm quitting my job, I'm moving up there, you and me, we're gonna be together. Eventually, we're gonna be married, and I've been married to her now for 22 years. But I have, my oldest child is 40 years old, from when I was in high school here. My youngest child is 14. God has a funny sense of humor. But I gotta tell you again, I could not have asked for anything better and a community better to raise my children in. As I said, I went to school at North Mason. I was the ASB president of North Mason, played football, played sports and stuff here. By the time I was a senior in high school, I had 3 businesses in this community. As I said, they took me in, they raised me, they made me everything I am, so I spent my whole life trying to thank them for everything they've done for me. So again, I'm Randy Neatherlin. I am one of the longest serving commissioners, one of the few that's ever served 3 terms in a row. And hopefully when we're done with this, you will appreciate all the work I've done to put us where we're at now, and you'll want to have me back there again so I can continue to service and take care of you and be there at 4:30 in the morning when you call me like you do now. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. I didn't know if they were waving at you or what, but you notice all this? There you go, that's a marketing thing on Hot Day, fans with your name on it. Okay, that was Randy. We have Will Harris. He's up.
Well, good evening. I'm Will Harris, and let me give you a little background on me. I grew up in Puyallup, so 35 miles that way. And when I completed high school, I went down to St. Martin's College in Lacey, Washington, where I met my lovely wife of now 40 years. I also picked up a degree in civil engineering, and at that point, my wife and I literally entered a very interesting journey. I joined the United States Air Force, and off we went. At this point, we have 4 children. We have 4 grandchildren. The best grandchild lives about 40 miles from here over in Auburn, and the other 3 live on the East Coast. In the United States Air Force, it was very interesting. You know, we, as an engineering officer, you're responsible for, think of all things public works. But as a young lieutenant, I had 2 people that worked for me and $25,000 a year, and I said, man, I'm in charge of something. And I started to think about how that sort of works. And it was really funny. Every year and a half, 2 years, I had a different job. And that job had a little more responsibility, and I continued to grow. And 24 years later, I'm a full colonel, have 1,000 people, and $100 million a year. And I think that's really a capability, and it's a learning process the service takes you through as you grow up. And it's something I think I bring to the county and is very useful. Let's go backwards a few years. My first memories of Mason County were out along North Shore Road. It was 52 years ago, and frankly, maybe 52 years ago today. I was a Cub Scout, and my dad was taking, along with some other adult leaders, the den out to Camp of Hope. It's the Boy Scout camp near Dewato for a weekend. And we just spent the weekend out there. We, campfire at night, sleeping in a tent, go down and get some oysters. It was very relaxing. But from a kid's perspective, I was in the woods. It was adventure. And little did I know how that experience through scouting would continue to give and bring me back to Mason County. Ended up at summer camps over at Hobo's, getting a canoeing or swimming merit badge. In 1976, at 14, we planned and developed a 50-mile hike through the Olympic National Forest, just across the water from us. And I was the youngest scout out there, and it was, 8 days, north to south, everything you own is in your backpack. And it's really amazing for a young man to sort of start to grow up that way. And I just think of that, and I think 30 years later, I did the same thing with my children. They started, at that point, my folks owned a house at Tahuya, and we were doing the very same thing. And my time's up. Thank you very much.
Was that a ringer? Or a ring? Was that your phone? You heard that too. That was good. Okay, now we heard their elevator speeches, right? Now we're gonna zero in on, okay, here's how this will work. 5 questions. And we focus on 5 categories. 2 are to find out more who they are, okay? And so we'll do the first question, they'll each have 3 minutes. When they're done, I'm gonna ask 1 or 2 of you, not a bunch of you, on that particular subject, we'll let you bring, okay, I heard you answer this, what about this? Is that fair? Now, do we have any rebuttals and stuff? Not yet, maybe. I'm gonna wing that part. Where's Dan? Did that all right, Dan? Where's he at? State guys. Where? He left. There you go. See? You don't want to deal with this. Okay, who wants to start? We started at yours, and we're going to start. Guess what, Bill? You're first.
Not a problem.
All right. The question is real simple. Why are you running for this position? And remember what we have up there. Why are they doing this? Have you ever thought of that? Why? So let's find out.
Okay, why am I running to be Mason County Commissioner? So as we talked a little earlier, completed a career in the Air Force, and then we moved back home. And I've been involved in the community through friends. I've always been back up here with my family, with my folks, and got involved in the Planning Advisory Commission, got involved in our Transportation Advisory Panel. And what I started to find is we have some big challenges, folks. No surprise to anyone in this room. Look at traffic. Look at what we see in population growth. Look at what we see in some of the challenges we have in Shelton, particularly with regards to homelessness. And I frankly don't believe they're being adequately addressed. I'm running because I feel like we're struggling. We're struggling with public safety. We're struggling with growth. And we need a champion for North Mason. We need someone with a background, the experience, and the proven record of delivering. As we talked about in the service, every 2 years it was a new job. It was a new job to where if you didn't perform and you didn't deliver, you didn't move on. It was an up or out system. I moved up, not out. And I'm running because I just flat see we have issues, and I don't think they're being addressed adequately. And I'm here for you. A year ago, you came to me. Citizens, I was tossing the idea a little bit, but not a lot. I know how my wife feels about this. But you came to me and said, Will, we need you to run. With your background, and we'll talk about that a little more in the next question, okay? You're the right guy. You're the right person to help and guide and lead with the other commissioners, the team that we need for this county. And that's why I'm here, okay? We can't keep doing what we're doing. It's not succeeding. We can't push back on growth. We have to accept growth. And if we do it right, we do it in a way that we build the county. And we're not doing that right now. Thank you.
So, I came close to not running this time, not for any other reason except for I've done a lot of work, a lot of time. For example, you may not remember, because it's hard to remember when you didn't have something. For example, when all we had was a part-time substation up here in North Mason compared to a full station, which is now morphed into a bigger full station. We're getting services back into North Mason County. When we were broke as a county, absolutely devastatedly broke, we got down to $175,000 cash on hand in the middle of the year one year. That's horribly broke. Now, we're running at pretty close between 28 and 29 million cash on hand. We have reserves that would keep us through 5 years of a depression or recession compared to anything we've ever done before. We've literally taken a law enforcement and brought them up to where we now have a $17.8 million budget. Now think about that for a second. In a small county like this, Grace Harbor, which has 10,000, 12,000 more people, have 12.5 million. Island County, 12.5 million. We do 17.8. We have 55, and you'll talk about that later, but our 53 commissioned officers right now. The Sheriff's Department's coming forward for 2 more right now, and every year I try to help bring more in. There's always going to be a limit of what we can do because you can't afford to do everything. Because anything you do try to afford has to come from somebody. Now I want to point out something. We've gone from being one of the most broke communities that there is to the best fiscal position we've ever been in without raising taxes on you in years. That doesn't happen anywhere. It does here in Mason County. We did it. Now, your property taxes did go up, but not because of the county. If you look at your taxes, the state went up, the schools went up, the fire went up, everybody else went up. Ours has not increased. Literally, we've done everything we've tried to promise you that we would do. And then bring representation where you actually can call somebody and talk to them anytime, or they'll drop by your house or whatever you need. The reason why I decided to run is because there's still a few more things that we need to get done. I still want to bring in animal control. I think it's important. We just met with the city of Shelton trying to get their facility. If we bring that in, we gain another 1.5 deputies, because that's how much time they're spending on it right now. There's things that I'd like to do that we're going to disagree in when it comes to different criminal elements that happen to be homeless. We have to do something. We can't just accept that this is happening, and I'm bringing through a program to where we can probably pull that off. It's not going to be easy, and it's always real easy for people to say, I don't want to do nothing. But if we do nothing, nothing will change. I'm running because we've done so many great things, and I'm afraid that if I leave this time, it'll go away. We have 2 open seats. If we do 2 new commissioners, it could really be a difference. I'm running because I love where I live. I love these people that took me in. I love these people that are taking care of my family. I love this group that I go to for the school district that raised me, now raised my children, and take care of each other like you've always taken care of me. Thank you.
You know, I read my notes, I was supposed to tell you, you're not supposed to clap, but hey, I don't call them a strip wrong. Okay, Tom.
So the reason I'm running, I think, the most simple answer to that question is that I cared about people. And I cared deeply about the community that I live in, the community that supported me and my business for 17 years. For as long as I can remember, I've been motivated by public service. At 10 and 11 years old, I spent summer times with my dad and my youth group through my church, working on Habitat for Humanity programs, building houses. When we opened our business, we used that as a conduit for years to find any need in our county and host fundraisers and work that way. Kevin Chudy is a good friend of mine. For the last 8 years, I've thought about jumping in a race like this. But Kevin has been in the position, he's done a great job for our community, for our county, and is just an outstanding guy. When he decided to step down, I think I was one of the first few phone calls he made, and he was one of the first to donate to my campaign and support me. I think he and I see things the same way, and I think we both have our hearts fully and 100% with Mason County, regardless of who you are, where you come from, who you vote for. I think deep down, all we care about is the people in this county and how we move forward and how we make it a better place for our kids and for future generations.
Okay, Pat.
Okay, well, as I said earlier, I'm passionate about U.S. history and the Constitution. So the reason I got it in this is I've been noticing that we have lost sight of what government is supposed to do. Article 1, Section 1 of the Washington State Constitution is pretty clear. All political powers inherent in the people. Governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed and are established to protect and maintain individual rights. So that's the very first thing that our Constitution tells us is the job of government. And yet somehow we've lost sight of that. We have a problem with property is not being protected. Our property rights are being eroded. Homelessness, we're not doing anything to stop it. We need to start addressing a lot of different issues. Crime is rising. Fentanyl is killing people in this county. So we need to get back to basics, and that's really the main driving issue which got me into this race. I think we need more common sense in the commissioner's branch of Mason County. And just to put it mildly, that's what I do, is figure out how to solve problems, and I want to bring that to the citizens in Mason County. Thank you.
Okay, we've heard why they want to take on a position. Is there anybody here that'd like to follow? There you go, she's first question.
I'll stand so it's easier to project.
Repeat it.
I haven't said it yet.
Yeah, just repeat the question.
That's why I'm standing up for you, sir. So, as a member of the homeless housing provider, we see the effects of too little affordable housing, and all four of you mentioned homelessness in some degree. What are some specific actions you would be looking to take to create more housing and making it affordable in our community?
Is that good? I am not going to repeat that from what she said. Okay, so the question basically is, what about the homeless thing, right? Is that
What
what
are
I'm
some
saying?
specific actions you will take to create more housing?
Specific actions.
To create more housing?
And who are you with? Yeah, let's do the microphone thing.
Go ahead.
I should have.
That's all right. Good afternoon, my name is Tamara Ingwaldson, and I work for New Horizon Communities, and we do permanent supportive housing, and part of that work is the Shelton Veterans Village in Uptown Shelton.
That clarifies the question. Okay. Who wants to go first on this one? Pat?
Specifically, what we do to make housing affordable, that's really the crux of the question. We need to set the free market free again. Government has been choking off the supply of housing for decades in Washington State. When government chokes off the supply of houses, the price must go up. So we have to work to cut government regulations, and affordable housing means affordable at all levels. Everybody needs more affordable housing. I don't care whether you're talking about multi-million-dollar homes or down to tiny homes. Houses cost too much. So if we open up the free market, that will drive down costs. Start building houses, and all of a sudden, people can move up from a smaller house to a bigger house. That leaves a vacancy. That opens it up for somebody else who might move out in an apartment. That allows somebody to get an apartment. Right now, you can't get an apartment. Some people who have houses feel like they're stuck because they can't, there's no place to go. So, set the free market free. That's the specific answer to the question.
More to will on the end.
Right. Specific measures. Specific measures are the number one, ensure that our zoning allows a variety of housing. Totally agree. We need, when we look at our housing inventory, we have gaps, particularly in the middle. Okay, so think of that mid-range home. All right, so we have to ensure we have opportunities to build those. We need to look very hard at multiplexes. That is the, as I sit on the Planning Advisory Commission, as we look at what our options are, multiplexes are relatively cheaper compared to others per square foot. The challenge is that the profit margin on a multiplex is less on a single family home. So when you start to look at a developer, it's very difficult for them to get the profit margin they desire, so we've got to work through that piece, okay? And I don't have a good answer. We have to ensure the zoning's there. That's a specific thing we can do. We can look at other counties and opportunities. Lewis County, for example, has been working for the last 2 years, and they now have draft ordinance to their county commissioners to allow for multifamily dwelling on a 5-acre lot in a rural area. The Growth Management Act is interpreted as only one dwelling unit on a 5-acre lot, but you can actually put multiple as long as you have certain restrictions and considerations. Taking care of sewer and water is critical, that maximum square footage. But again, that's another opportunity. If we allow that, then we have an opportunity for multiple smaller homes on a lot, and now we have the opportunity for that middle level home going there. The other thing we need to do, and this is a difficult one, we'll have to work with Travis and Dan. I see them here tonight. Thank you for being here. Is the Growth Management Act and the environmental resiliency. This is a tough piece for us, but our government has, our legislature has passed laws that increase the environmental resiliency requirements. That means greater insulation, more environmental credits. It's adding $20,000 to $50,000 to a home. The balance is, and only we the people can vote, okay? But what's more important, protecting the environment or having a more affordable home, okay? And that's a hard one, but that's a question that we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to work with Dan and Travis. We're gonna reverse that. So there's 3 specific actions we can do.
Specifically, I think homelessness, has an effect on all of us. I think it's a nationwide problem. It's an epidemic. I agree with what Will had to say there, and that multifamily units can help ease the burden there. I think, with affordable housing, I think, also like Pat said, if we can create more housing, it lowers the cost for everybody. But I think part of the issue that you have is finding a way to deal with the homelessness problem, the homelessness issue that we see locally. And I think there we need to find a way to get creative, right? Let's find a way to identify municipalities and local governments like ours around the country. Let's work with Travis and Dan to find a way to get state revenue or grant money to identify these governments that are having success. I spent the last weekend with my dad in town with his new girlfriend. I lost my mom last year, but his new girlfriend retired from county government in Fairfax, Virginia. And one of the ideas that they had there that was really successful is they redirected resources that were previously going to homeless people and used that money for housing or towards housing. And what they saw is once those people actually got into housing, they were less reliant on resources and more likely to move on and take the next step in their life. So I think that's something we need to really take a hard look at.
Would District 2 talk louder, please?
Yes, sir.
And put it near your mouth. I can't hear you. I got a fan in my
You
ear.
have been notified. Okay, we'll make sure that works. Randy?
So there are many types of homeless issues and low-cost issues that we're talking about. Please understand, it's not one size fits all. Simple. It's not. Those that are talking about trying to make sure that we have housing for those that are homeless have to understand that the only way you're going to do that, because they have no money, so there's no profit there, is for somebody else to dig into their pockets in order to do that. Is that you? If it costs you $7 to $10 million to build a $20 million unit, this county only pays in property tax to us on the general fund $10 million a year. You want to double your taxes? We have to be realistic on what we're looking at trying to pull off. Now, I'm not saying that we don't try to incentivize, and we did. Here at the county, we incentivized to where if they want to do multifamily units, we tried to give them a big tax break that we got passed through the legislature. They wouldn't pay any of the ad valorem tax, none of the tax on the actual building for 12 years, up to 12 years. They chose not to do it because more profit would make a profit. And that's why they did it. But we do try to find ways to make these things happen. With that being said, there are still things that can be done in order to be affordable housing. My view of affordable housing is not free housing. My view of affordable housing is being able to build housing that is, or allowing them to build housing that is inexpensive enough to where my neighbors don't have to leave. I'm not trying to bring in people from everywhere else, because you build that building and you put in 2025, who says they're going to come from Mason County? And they go in there for free. Then you got to build for the next one, the next one, the next one. I would like to see us be working on being able to make sure we handle the people that are here, the ones that we're already supposed to be representing. Not everybody, when they get into their elderly age, can afford to pay what they're paying now. We need to be able to provide housing for them. That's that intermediary. With that, then we'll be doing a real favor to our community. But we can also help them in different ways for developers. And I want to point out, you have low-income housing that has been happening right down below this hill. That's what almost all that is down there. That's not part of Lakeland. That's a whole other division that has started up. But what I'm talking about here is there are little things you can do for the developers, such as taking all your impact fees and the like and putting it on the end of the deal. Otherwise, when they get occupancy permit, now they can sell the place. They can collect the money instead of putting it out early. Allowing for smaller, more affordable and easy to build units is definitely a must. It's something that I'm already looking at for North Mason up here in Belfair. There's a group that's been coming out and looking out here to do that, where the units will be about 280 square foot per unit. Now, if you think about it, in New York, they've been doing it at 100 square feet forever. This is just an opportunity, it brings in at a lower rate where more people can afford to do it. That's what affordable housing is. Free housing is different, affordable housing is different, and then making houses at the next level we get into is different than on a whole nother level. And I want to point out, you have some that are homeless that actually have money coming in. You have some that are homeless that are not broke. There's just no housing for the in-between. So if we're going to have affordable housing, let's make it to where we can keep our own people here, keep them safe. Then we can also work through shelters and stuff for others. Thank you.
Boy, that question fired everybody up. Okay, we're gonna move on. I'm only picking one. Okay, this one's interesting, particularly here in Lakeland and other communities. Utilities, particularly sewer costs, have been continuously rising. As a commissioner, do you have a plan to control rates or perhaps stabilize them? And what is your stance on how high is too high? Who wants to start that one? You're all fired up.
Well, I just,
Go for it, Randy.
then they can get on me.
How much is too much? Ask the lady or the gentleman who's retired.
Before you start, we've been paying on that bond that you issued to the sewer since 1990, way back in the 1900s. That's got to expire here pretty soon.
Yeah. And I'll try to catch that if you want afterwards. I didn't issue, I wasn't there, but I know what you're talking about. We do have something that is expiring soon. So as for the sewer, we already are controlling the rates. Those of you that took the time to come out to our event that we had, you found out that the actual cost of you doing the sewer here is $165 a month. We've been finding ways to offset that to keep the price down. Is it perfect? No. What is affordable? What is too much? As I said, the person that's retired that can't afford to live in their own home, that's too much. So it's going to be too much for anybody and everybody. And Shelton is a great example. They were at close to $200 a month. It doesn't make ours feel any better. But you also didn't notice, because we only noticed what's thrown on top of this, we didn't notice the good things that happened. For example, when we had that, there was a system that's already set into place on how the rate would increase. When we had that extreme inflation that was 10%, your price was supposed to go up 10%. We were able to stop that from happening. We didn't let it happen. Then the next year, we held onto the rate itself while we finally got the money, got the establishment, the numbers to tell us where we're actually at. And we need to thank our representatives for that, by the way. That money, some of that money for these sewer systems in order to stay competitive and to do this comes from the state. It's one of the other places we find to bring money in to offset it so we can keep the rates down. I don't have no magic wand that I can just go ahead and say, we're not going to charge you the full amount anymore. We're already not. So again, the actual cost is $165 compared to what you're paying now. It already went down, which nobody else has ever gone down. Now we went down, but it should have increased by 10%, then 5%. Instead, we brought it backwards. You don't notice it, but that's still something. So hopefully, in the near future, as we're going to relook at this at the end of this year, looking at all the numbers that we've done, hopefully we'll be able to even make a stronger case with the state for more funding. But again, we need to thank our representatives because a lot of that money that offset those costs came from them, along with your rates and your money. And that thing should actually be expiring here shortly. Hopefully we're not borrowing any more money off it. We haven't been, we've been trying not to. So with that being said, we still have machines that are old, that are breaking down. It still costs money to do it. So I'm hoping we find another way to bring it down a little bit further, but we'll need help from the state. Thank you.
Well, I have Tom back that one.
I think what Randy had to say there, from adjusting how they charge sewer rates from the CPI or the Consumer Product Index, which can be affected by inflation, to a system where it is done by affordability based on adjusted median income or average median income, so 2%. But if you look at how you pay your sewer rates, there's 3 different things that can affect that. The operating cost of sewer, basically what it costs, and labor to run the system, your debt on the system, which are your bonds, and capital improvements. And I think a solution down the road is to work with Travis, work with Dan, work with our state representatives to find ways to have the state help us with capital improvements on these systems. That way the burden isn't on each individual payer. But if you, also another way to look at how the sewer affects your rate, or how rates affect you individually, are the number of people on the connection. Each unit on the sewer line pays basically the same amount. So over time, as the area grows, if we can find a way to grow in a proactive way and in a healthier way than we have to this point, the more connections down the road will lessen the rate for everyone as you go on. But really it's going to come down to county government working with state government to really help with what we put in as far as capital investments on improving and fixing our system of maintenance down the road.
All right, I want to frame this discussion just a little bit. As the Chief of Public Works at Dyess Air Force Base in Texas, Kadena Air Base in Japan, I had NCOs that ran very effectively water, electrical, and sewer systems. We budgeted and planned for the maintenance, the capital improvements. I have a degree in civil engineering. I'm a licensed professional civil engineer. No, I'm not a sewage expert. My expertise is in soils and pavements, but I do understand the technical elements of what goes in and how our sewer plant works. I have sat down, I've met with our Chief of Public Works, I've met with the Chief of our Utility Department, okay? So and we specifically talked about our sewer system here supporting Lakeland and Belfair. So this is when we talk about the question, what is my plan to control rates, okay? How do you get to stable, and how much is too much? My first and foremost concern is simple. If you don't flush and it doesn't go away, I fail. It has to work first, okay? We have been very effective at that. Our public works, our county team has done very well. But when it gets into the rates, what we're missing right now, and we started to see some of it over at the high school here a few months ago, is that plan. How do you put together the maintenance, the repair, and then the capital improvements? And when I talk capital improvements, I'm not talking plant expansion. I am talking simply replacement of the existing systems are replaced on more of a decade level basis, okay? How do we set that in? Because once you know what you have to do, you know what it takes to do it, you can put dollars against it, you can put an inflation factor. Again, there's some risk involved, but we can do that wisely, okay? So that's the first thing that needs to occur. And once we have that, the thing that is gapped tremendously is, when was the first time you were notified of a change in your utility? We had a discussion at the high school, a few of us were there. The first real notice when you got a letter in the mail that said, hey, your rate went down $4, unless you're in a duplex, where it went from 87 to 120 instantaneously. That's not acceptable. Communication is key. We may not be able to, and I suspect, based on having that technical discussion with our utility department manager and our public works manager, I do not expect at this time, yes, I have to do more research, but I don't expect the rates to go down. Can they stabilize? Frankly, I have more research to do on that. But if we don't talk to you, if we don't communicate to you, we have failed as a county. You have to know what's going on out there, okay? I've been here, and first time we had a meeting was here, and maybe I missed one, in defense of my opponent. Thank you.
Okay, well, they've covered a whole lot of stuff, so I'm going to keep it really brief. What we need to do is one of the things we can do is worry about maintenance. Because if you're doing maintenance preemptively, you can save cost. We all know if you don't change your oil, you're going to pay a lot more to fix your car, that kind of thing. So we need to focus on the maintenance of these systems. Growth is also going to help keep rates down and maybe reduce rates, because as we spread it out over more ratepayers, the cost can come down. So we could go into a lot of details, but in the end, you just want to see your prices go down, not stabilize. You want them to go down, because in Shelton, it's astronomical. Up here, it's way too high. So we need to do a better job and make it cheaper for the citizens. So that's about all I have to say. Thanks.
Okay. You had a hand go up. Is this pertaining to the utilities, your question? Can you come up here so? Yeah, you're good. Go ahead, introduce yourself. There you go.
My name is Karen Holden, and I'm property manager for 4 different parks in this area. By parks, I mean RV and mobile home parks. That's one issue you haven't addressed, but I'm getting to the point. That's one issue of affordable housing that has not been addressed through yet. Okay? Now, our rates are the lowest anywhere. Our rates for a rental on an RV is $625 a month. You can't find that anywhere. We just received a 38% increase in our utility bills for sewer. 38%. Okay? Do you know what that does? That just wipes out the profit line, and then that has to be transferred over to these people. These people are on fixed income. Most of them barely get through the month. They don't have an option to go into their bank account or their savings account or rely on a home that they sold. Some yes, most not. Okay, so how are we supposed to be able to support these people, and what plans are to be done to be able to lower these rates? As you mentioned that it lowered, but it hasn't for us. So what are the plans to help people in this position, and is there any plans for considering mobile homes and RV parks?
That's not bad. Randy jumped right in there, so I guess we're hearing him from him first.
Okay, so during the community forum, when they were there, everybody demanded that the rate be the same across the board. We had different rates that were for the condominiums compared to others, and the homeowners were demanding that it be fair and equitable across for everybody. I did not know that it included the RV park, and I'll be looking into that after we're done. But I wouldn't be surprised if it did, because that is, again, what the community was demanding. I want to point out, I'm thanking the state, but you also need to think, for keeping your rates where they are, you need to think the rest of the county. The reason why I say that is money, all the planning we want to do, it still costs money. Anything we're going to do for anything that's failing or breaking down because it's so old, that costs money. So any plan, you can plan it out all you want, but where's the money going to come from? One of the things we've already done at Mason County is for your sewer system here in North Bay, it is offset by the stuff the state has brought in, but it is also offset by 09 funds, which is a portion of the sales tax that we get that is earmarked for basically economic development. We also take our REIT, real estate excise tax, and we take that from the county and we put it towards it to keep your rate down. So right now, instead of parks and stuff, some of that money is going to pay for the rate for this system. Again, this all started way before I was ever elected a county commissioner or anything like that. This has been in place for many, many years, and it's just now changing as we're doing the work to find out what costs we can shift, what things we can do, and how we can restructure it. But as I said, we need to thank everybody in your community, because they're also paying for your sewer too. It's not just you. And no matter who you are, there's a set cost. There's no way around that. But again, for us, REIT and 09, the people in the community are paying a share of your sewer. So we need to thank them for that. And I will check on the thing for the RV. But again, I wouldn't be surprised, because the community demanded that it be the same across the board for everybody, for every hookup. But I'll look into yours.
I'll give you a different perspective. I mentioned already, I got a letter in the mail, my rate changed, and it changed that month. The letter that changed, it came with the bill, and there's no heads up. That shouldn't happen. That is one of the very situations you're sitting in right now. I'll just say this, I can't not. Once I'm in a job, about 6 months later, I own it. You're not going to hear from me after a term, much less 3. Sorry, that happened before me.
Okay, Pat, you want to follow that one?
Sure. I'm not exactly sure what we can do specifically. As Randy said, if the citizens demand that everybody pays the same rate for a hookup, well, the citizens demand that. What we've got to do is come up with a way to lower it for everybody. So how we do that, I don't know yet. I got to get my hands into the budget and really tear into this to find out where we can make cuts. There are places we can save money. I can talk about, this has nothing to do with the sewer system, but for example on roads, if we would do more chip sealing, we could make our roads last longer. Again, back to the maintenance issue. If we would trim back trees and keep the sunlight on the roads so they dry out, roads last longer. If we would cut back bushes. There's a lot of things that we can do as a county that we can improve on that are going to save money. And that's one area we can come up with some of the funds that are going to pay for reducing rates and sewers.
I mean, it's a really tough position to be in. I think based on fairness for everybody paying the same rate.
Don't be afraid of that microphone.
You got it, sir. But I mean, in fairness for homeowners or renters in that situation to pay the same rate, I think across the board there was agreement that was made. But in this case, it's affecting whether or not somebody can afford to live where they live or affecting their ability to buy food or groceries. I think long term I would commit to taking a hard look at what the actual dollar amount is for each instance and finding a way to look at our budget and see if there's a creative way that we can get around it. I think I'm all for creative solutions, and I think that's something that we all need to look at down the road. Is I think what we've learned over time is what we've done for the last 50 years doesn't work over time. We've got to find new ways to deal with new problems and bring fresh ideas to the table. So yeah, as a commissioner, I would certainly take a look at it and find out if it works in the budget, how much money it actually involves, and where you can move things around in the budget to make life livable for everybody in Mason County.
Well, great, thank you. Wow. Were you a command sergeant major or something?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, dude, I want results as long.
You just got that command voice, right? Then he could have been a command sergeant major.
I like
yeah.
him.
Or Navy chief. I was in the military. So. Okay, where are we? Well, hey, by the way, this tiny thing's working. I got two questions. We still got an hour. The questions come out of you folks is good. If you have questions later, these folks, if they can handle the heat, will hang out. And it will cool down in a minute. So it's air's gonna come in. All right. Next question. And it was we brought up a little bit already. Property taxes primarily fund county operations. Do you have a plan to help lower or maintain or potentially raise them if necessary? Who wants to go first?
I think property taxes are something that has a pretty vast effect on all of us. Whether buying a home or buying a business, your cost of your mortgage is directly related to the amount of your property taxes. When we sign an agreement with a bank for a mortgage, you are basically, you're allowed a 50% debt to income ratio for that payment. And as property taxes increase, that affects your ability to pay your mortgage. Or it affects the way that you live your life in other ways. About half of our general fund in Mason County comes from property taxes. About half of our general fund in Mason County comes from sales tax. I think what I would like to see is an enhanced focus towards our future by really doubling down and embracing tourism in Mason County. I think the more people that we can get to come to Mason County, not just as we call ourselves the gateway to Mason County. I think I had a conversation with Ryan Spurley a few months back, and he mentioned that rather than be the gateway, let's be the playground of the Olympics. Let's find a way to get these people to come here, not just travel through. Let's get them to stay here, spend their money here, and then go home. We can use their tax money, their sales tax income, their lodging tax income to fund our future here. The more that we can increase our bottom line through sales tax and lodging tax, the less we're relying on property taxes down the road. I mean, I think it can be as simple as that. We need to embrace the natural beauty of Mason County. We have so many businesses here that are here for that purpose. And Kapowson for skydiving. We have world-class diving at YSS Dive and Mike's Beach Resort. We've got a world-class racetrack at the Ridge. And all of these businesses struggle with people that come to this town, come to this community, and don't have a place to stay. If we could find a way to get these people captive. You know, I spent last summer working in food and beverage at the Ridge Racetrack. What we saw there is 200 to 400 people a day that are spending $300 to $500 a day to drive in circles and burn rubber. At the end of the afternoon, they get in their cars, they drive to Olympia, they stay in hotels in Olympia, they go to dinner in Olympia, they go out for drinks in Olympia, they get up in the morning, go to breakfast in Olympia, and then they come back to Mason County and drive in circles at the racetrack. Just that one business alone, we are losing millions of dollars in tax revenue. When we talk to Kapowson and the folks that run Kapowson, they have massive government contracts that they could capitalize on if we had a place for these units that desperately need jump practice to come and stay in Mason County. We have ways that we can get these people to come here. We have ways to generate income. I think our future can be funded by tourism. I think we have all the key pieces necessary to make Mason County what we see in Leavenworth, what we see in Coeur d'Alene, what we see in Beben. We have all the parts of the recipe here. If we can embrace that, embrace the growth, and use their money to fund our future, I think that's a way forward for all of us.
Pretty much forgotten the question, we got off topic there. What?
I see, this property tax is primarily fund county operations. Do you have a plan to help lower, maintain, or raise?
Yeah, property taxes, from a county commissioner standpoint, they're a real problem, but the percentage of your property taxes, if you've looked at your property tax bill that Mason County is getting, it's mostly driven by the state. The vast majority of your property taxes are being taken up by the state. So, I agree exactly what Tom said. We need to bring more businesses here. Not just tourist business, but all kinds of business. My business, when we moved here 18 years ago, we bring... We don't do any business in Mason County. We don't do any business in Washington. All the money that we bring in, every dollar that we sell, is new money coming into Mason County. It's not money that's being circulated around Mason County. It's brand new money. We need more businesses that are going to bring new money in, and that offsets some of your property taxes. So the county could lower its portion of the property taxes. You're still not going to be happy until Dan and Travis get in the majority and are able to reduce the amount of money that our state is spending, because they're chewing up the biggest chunk of your property taxes.
Okay, moving right along.
I'll clap for a majority.
You know, it's funny you brought that up, didn't even think about it. What parties you all have, we're really diverse right here. Republican, Independent, Democrat, Republican.
Independent.
Who's independent? 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 What happened to the D?
Oh, no.
Well, I don't know, I'm not answering a question. We still got two more.
Who's Dan and Travis?
That's Travis right there, 35th District Representative.
Okay.
That behind you is Dan Griffey, 35th. Very important people that live here in Allyn. Yes. This is us, yeah. I hate to interject, wasn't part of the plan, but I do go off script. Yeah. It's very important that you know those two and these folks, whoever gets elected, work with them, okay? It's a very important. You hit on a good subject about heads and beds and stuff. Well, do you know that in this area we have about almost 1,800 Airbnbs? Close, maybe. What? A lot. The Allyn Association puts on a lot of shows to bring people in. And all the other communities are doing that. And so, support it. That's my point. Support those things and it'll help yourselves with that. Okay, you're up. Who's up? Will, you go.
All right, okay, good, I'm live. So absolutely, we got Representative Travis Couture, Representative Dan Griffey, we have Sheriff Ryan Sperling, raise your hand, Ryan. Okay, he's here. We have our auditor, Steve Dunkel. Steve, raise your hand. I think those are the elects I recognize, obviously outside of my opponent here. So when we talk about property taxes, what can we do? And I really like what Pat said, but I want to be very specific. My wife and I pay $5,300 in property tax. That's $1,000 more than we did 4 years ago. We're up 20%. My military pension has not kept pace, okay? For those of us, or anyone living on a fixed income, okay, things are going up faster than your income is. It's very real, okay? I've talked to a lot of people. But of that $5,300, $1,100 is county, the other $4,200, school, fire, EMS, etc., okay? So if the county took their total property tax to zero, and that's county and road, okay, I still have a $4,200 bill. The answer is not lowering, if you will, the tax rate. There's other issues driving it, and that's the assessed value of our homes. What we need to do is try and stabilize those assessed values, okay, and we're going to do that in basically two ways. We are going to build. We're going to bring in business, and we're going to have other opportunities here. We are going to build homes. I talked a little earlier, thank you for the homeless question. We talked directly on multifamily units. We talked very specifically about the rural opportunities on 5-acre homes. Again, that's an issue that has to work through in Mason, but it's being done somewhere else in the state. They can work through the Growth Management Act, okay? We need to continue to work with the Economic Development Council. I'm very excited that Kevin Schutte, two-term commissioner, understands our county inside and out. He is the executive director of our EDC. He is going to be able to help us immensely in that role to bring in businesses. Tom mentioned hotels. That's a huge one. The opportunity of making this a destination. I agree with Sheriff Sperling's idea back there. And that's what we need to do. So to stabilize our taxes, it's not about the rate. It's about stabilizing the assessed values. We do that through more homes that meet the demand of the people coming, because they are going to come. We're not going to stop it. So we're going to have to figure out how to build homes. And at the same time, we need the associated businesses to even grow that tax base larger. So that's how I would approach it. Thank you.
So I want to clarify, we don't build homes. We're the county. We take your money and we make it possible for others to build homes, and the best thing we can do is try and make it easier for them, but we don't build homes, and you don't want us to take your money to do that, right? You want us to take your money to take care of you. Now, you've heard tonight about our tax rate and how low we actually are. I want you to know that about 7 years ago, the largest tax increase in Mason County happened. 7 years ago. It was 10% increase on the general fund, 10% increase on the road fund, and it actually passed. But before it was over with, because it didn't get put into place until January 1st, before it was put into place, I got it overturned. I got one of the other commissioners to change their vote, so we avoided that huge tax increase. We were hurting at the time, and I don't blame that commissioner for wanting that. That was the easy way out. But instead, we found a way to live within our means. We took our beatings like we should have, and then we were stable from then on. A couple of years ago, I went to the commission, and we're at the point now that we have so much money in the bank, the best fiscal position that this county has ever been in history. I asked them, we've got two choices here because we're becoming a bank, and the state doesn't like that. Two choices are provide more services or give back some of the money. Now, I'm sure you can imagine how quickly that other one got shot down. So then it was trying to provide more services. So each year, as we try to provide more services, we do. I want to give you a little example, though, of how good your county is at this. As I said, I worked very hard over this. It's been a battle, and you might have remembered some of those big battles in the press, but in the end, it turned out to be correct because we have more money in the bank now than we've ever had in our history. But I want to name off a few. The Commissioner's Office, Prosecuting Attorney's Office, the Public Defender's Office, the Auditor, the Assessor, the Treasurer's Office, the Sheriff's Office, the jail, which is also under the Sheriff's Office. That's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week jail. the courts, the clerk building, the building department, the health department, the coroner, parks, facilities, everything I just mentioned, we do more with all of that than, less money than the North Mason School District. Think about that for a minute. That's how good we are with your money. As a matter of fact, I just pulled one up out of Belfair, a $63,000 property, and the school district charge on that was $101 plus $49 for their bond. The county's general fund, which paid for all of this is the roads, this is all just general fund that I mentioned, is $47. So we did more with less than the amount they're paying for the bond, or the levy in North Mason School District, not their overall amount of money. You have to admit, that's pretty spectacular. That doesn't happen anywhere else, but it's happening right here. That's kept your costs down and kept your taxes down.
Dang, guys. I skipped a question, but I look at it, I'm gonna put it at the end, because it's an important question. If you want to say a question, I don't know. No?
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
Suggest the panel remove jackets.
I thought about that too, they gotta be dying. You can take the jackets
You
off.
have permission.
You have permission.
Don't
You know-
need permission.
Nobody wants to see this belly. I don't want to show you that belly, no. Actually, I work.
Thanks for that.
That's
I was thinking about it, 'cause I'm dying here in a t-shirt. Something kind of unusual in this room. One of the young people, that was walking out. There's a couple of youngsters in here. Look at her run. By the way, for those who don't know, that's Vanessa Crowley, editor of the North Bay Review. If you want anything going on in our community, she's it. And I know these two guys, look at these youngsters, these are youngsters in here. There's a candidate for them, right? You vote for these people.
I can't do that for you.
Oh, I know, I think this one. Okay, the next question. I think the sheriff wants to hear this one. Yeah, look at him. Okay, he's ready. He's moving around. Oh, God, a sheriff question. Okay, I'm going to start with this stat. Oh, damn, I lost it. I'm going to have it all out thinking this is going to work, right? There was a statistic, which this question here, but I'm going to start. Okay. Crime rate in Mason County is 55.37 per 1,000 residents. I think this was a couple years ago. And it may not be accurate, but it's, hold on. The county is 37th percentile for safety, and 63% of counties being safer, and 37% of counties being more dangerous. The rate of violent crime in Mason County is 3,849 per 1,000. What? That doesn't sound, that's 3.8. I watched this one show that's always showing rates, and I thought it was pretty good. And what else? We have, okay, anyway, so we're kind of in the middle. So the question is, crime is a major concern, and Mason County, you think about it, because you have a friend that's had a car stolen. Your car got stolen. So you better pay attention, listen. Crime is a major concern, and Mason County has one of the lowest per capita officer to population ratios in the state. Is that accurate?
We're about 0.87, depending on where you draw your line.
Okay. What steps would you take as commissioner to address this issue? I think we heard about it, that obviously it looks like we need more officers. However, when I was driving Olympia this morning, 12 sheriff cars went north. What was that all about? Was there a funeral or something? I was thinking, God, there must be something going on in Belfair. He won't tell us, will he? Okay, who wants to take this one on first? Pat?
One of the things we need to do for public safety is take a holistic approach to it. We need more sheriffs, but we also need prosecuting attorneys. Our prosecuting attorneys are losing, we hire people, we train them how to be a prosecutor, and then they run off to Kitsap or to Thurston for $50,000 a year more. So we're going to have to start getting more competitive. there's a drastic shortage of attorneys in the nation. So getting an attorney is really getting to be expensive. So we're going to have to consider the prosecutor as part of public safety. We're going to need a new jail, and we're going to have to be able to handle a larger staff for staffing that jail. So we're going to have to spend some money on public safety. I know Ryan, at least I've heard, and I'm not sure, that Washington has the lowest per capita law enforcement in the nation. Mason County has the lowest law enforcement per capita in Washington. So we're at the very bottom of the nation for our law enforcement. Well, I think that is one of the prime functions of government, is to protect the citizens, protecting your rights, protecting your property rights, all of those things. We can't do that without properly functioning public safety. So we're going to have to fund it. It may cost us more, but we're going to have to bite that bullet. Thank you.
I'll agree there. I think public safety is the paramount duty of any public servant. Making sure that your constituents feel safe in their homes, feel safe at their place of work, and really that they feel like they're being taken care of. One of the first things that I asked Sheriff Sperling on the day I spent with him was that if he felt like the county commission or the county government at this point had given him all the tools necessary to do his job, and he said that he had. But I know that his job and his needs change. I'd commit at any time if Sheriff Sperling came to me with a request for more officers or more help, more assistance, that I'd get behind that. Looking at call log volume over the last 5 years, which you can find on the county website, looks like call volume for these guys has been static for the last 5 years. But I think that the nature of those calls is changing. The way that they're having to do their jobs is changing. They're under an enormous amount of scrutiny right now. And I think it's really important and paramount that we make sure that the deputies that we do have working for the county are trained in the best manner possible. We need to find a way to retain these folks. You know, what Pat mentioned there is something that I've come across in every meeting I've had at the county level, where everybody feels like Mason County is a training ground for other jobs. They come, they're on our dime for 2 years to train at enormous cost. They leave us, we have to fill the gap from there. In my tour of the jail, we are desperate for detention employees at the jail. We need to do a better job at the county level of being more competitive. I understand that we have unions involved in negotiations for these jobs, that we can only use comparable counties and comparable size counties and economies for these jobs. But we've got to find a way long-term at every department in the county to factor in competition. Let's take a look at where we're losing these jobs to. Because these are people that are leaving us and moving to Kitsap County, or working in Kitsap County, working in Pierce County, working in Thurston County, but still living in Mason County. If we can find a way to get more competitive on the front end with better compensation, better benefits, we'll spend infinitely less in the long run on retraining and rehiring. Ryan and his crew having a staff in place that have the experience is the most important thing for all of us here. And in the end, I'm really 100% behind Sheriff Sperling and law enforcement in general. I think that is, you know, over time as a business owner downtown in Shelton, I've seen a massive change over 17 years. 17 years ago, we used to have 5 or 6 homeless people around town that we pretty well knew. They were predictable. We knew them by name. We knew where they'd be and what they were going to do. I see new people every day. Virtually every day, I have a new person sleeping behind the dumpsters behind my business. We've got to find a way to combat that and give these guys the tools necessary to do their jobs.
All right, so,
Just a minute.
you bet.
I think we're losing weight up here.
Drink more water?
By the way, I have to interrupt because I just got a text message from one of our board members, and he said, I showed them guys, you didn't get to see this, Pat. Here's the message. This is important.
The AC is broken.
Yeah. No, push the chowder. I don't want to take it back home.
Sorry, bro. I just had to.
I'll try and follow that. Okay, so the question is, what are you gonna do, and how are you going to help support getting more sheriff deputies on board, particularly to keep pace with any growth that we have? Bottom line, this is gonna cost money, okay? And so, again, I'm gonna go back to, we need to have homes built. We need to provide the opportunity to build homes. We need to attract businesses and grow the tax base, okay? The other option is we pay for it, and that is not something I'm interested in at all, okay? we'll sort through that, but I think it's build businesses and build more homes and bring more people in. I want to talk about a couple of things. I am very impressed with our Board of Commissioners and our county staff. They have been able to work through, increase the wages for our deputies. Talking with Sheriff Sperling, we've actually had, because of the actions that have been taken by our county, we've had deputies actually come back. So they got trained here. Once they were trained, they left. They went to another county or the state, and once things changed here, they came back, and they're now working for that man that's sitting in the back. It's great to hear. So it's a huge positive on what's going on out there in our county. I also want to talk about a ride-around I had with our sheriff deputies. You know, it's really interesting. If you ever have the opportunity to do it, this is the one thing you'll notice. We were out somewhere north of Tahuya, and the other deputy called saying, "I need help." He was in Belfair. That's quite a run. And at the time I think that night we actually had 3 on. It was the 3rd night with 3 deputies in the north. So it had been 2 deputies in the north, 2 in the south, and right now I think you're vacillating between 2 and 3, Sheriff?
2 south, 2 north, and 2
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so he currently has basically 5 on at a time. So if we can get 6 more, that gives him the opportunity to either put 3 on with a supervisor, both north and south, or it gives him the opportunity to basically have a sheriff task force to focus on specific issues in our county. And that's something I really like what the sheriff has talked about, fully support it. And again, as commissioner, my role is to help and support getting him the funding for the deputies. He'll take care of hiring the right persons. He'll figure out how to use them in the best way. And he is totally reportable to the people. He's very public about that in a lot of ways. So, to the question, how do you increase? We increase by helping and supporting developers, building homes, bringing more people in to grow the tax base, and bringing in business, and business is key. Thank you.
One of the things that's interesting is actually doing this job. I'm privy to all the different numbers, all the different information, and the realities that we actually deal with. It's really wonderful to have all these ideas, but it's a whole other thing to actually make them work and put them into play. Some of the statistics we're talking about, the one from Washington State is actually accurate when you were saying that part. The aspect of us having the lowest per capita is not accurate. As a matter of fact, I was looking just the other day. We have many more that are bigger counties than us that have a lot less deputies than we do. I do want to point something out though, and I guess today's the day we're just going to give props to the sheriff, because there was a time when I came into this. Now when I came to this, the budget for the sheriff was $9.7 million. Now at that time, I got in a big battle with the sheriff. It was in the newspaper. They wanted more money, and I looked at the employees that they had, and I found out at the time there was 8 employees that weren't even being used on patrol. They didn't exist. They weren't there. Well, back in those days, they had bottom line authority, so they could use that money however they wanted. So it wasn't as important to fill every position, because that money got to stay within the department and left. It's not like that now. I can assure you that this sheriff we have now fills every hole he can get filled. He goes out and works it hard to make sure he does. We are at times don't even have anybody waiting because he has the position filled. Now, in order to get there, though, it wasn't always so easy. Negotiations and unions are an interesting animal. We can want anything, but it doesn't mean the union's going to agree with that. Even if you want to make them the highest paid among all the comparables, they still can say no. And then you're looking at them and go, what the heck? What we did with our sheriff's department and our deputies, we looked around at all of our comparables. We made our sheriff's deputies #1 of all the comparables, and then we put them less than 3% behind Thurston County with the hope that this sheriff would go out and steal from everybody else. Well, he did though. He went and he got laterals. People that are already experienced already know how to do it because he knows how to do this. I'm hoping to do the same thing with corrections. I can just say, because I'm only speaking for myself, I'm not the commission. I'd like to see us do the same thing because then we can steal from all the other entities and we can have that fully staffed. So right now we're at 52 or 53 commissioned officers in this county at all times. We're paying for that on our budget right now and they get filled. I also have 27 corrections deputies positions. We're not getting those filled. That's why we need to work with the union in order to get that higher. We even opened it up 8 months early in hopes of doing it, and they still weren't ready to work. So, like I said, there's only so much we can do, plus we have 5 civil service officers. This year, the sheriff has in his budget, he's asking for a couple more. Every year, I try to bring in a few more. But you gotta remember, there's a limit on how much money you have. I don't wanna go backwards. We're at the point now where we're perfectly set. We're just now gonna be breaking even. Now, I found other ways to bring in revenue over the years, selling different timber and going out and leasing out our tide beds to Gooey Duck and bringing in millions. So that's where we're at with it, and hopefully we'll have more coming up.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this is to Commissioner Neatherlin. You had just said that you're breaking even. That's good. Where does this 28 million surplus fit in to the other disbursements of the deficiencies that we have?
Okay, so as for when I first came in, we were trying to keep a 2% reserve. 2%, and we never could. We were so broke we couldn't even keep our reserve. So as the years went on, we started changing the budget so we move on a cash basis, just like you would at your home. Our county actually operates in a way that the state auditor says they don't like. They want us to go on accrual like every other county. But when we have 28, 29 million in the bank, I say, you keep telling me that because we're doing what we should be doing. So we get all this extra money that of unsold or unused budget authority. We get other monies that come in from things like, I said, they came and tried to buy a bunch of land. I was able to argue, we got it out for non-binding bid. They offered us $285,000. We sold it for 1.28 million. Plus we kept the land. Plus we was reforested. We did the same thing with tidelands for Gooey Duck. They came in at $95,000. When this Gooey Duck lease is done, we'll be collecting well over $4 million. Things like this is how we bring in more revenue and then not spending it on anything willy-nilly. By doing away with the accrual and going to a cash basis, we no longer have what's called a 13th month. The way it used to work in the county, works in all the other counties, in January you pay for all the sins of the year. Well, now we do it just like a cash basis, just like you would at home. Our budget ends at the end of December, and whatever money there is spent or not spent, it goes back into the bank for us and for all of you. So we're keeping that money in different ways for reserves. We now run a 25% cash reserve, so we can withstand 5 years of a recession. We put $1 million away for cars. We put $1 million away for IT. We found all these ways of taking that money and putting it in reserves. I still have $7 million extra. I wouldn't say extra. I have $7 million over anything that's already reserved that we still have to spend on different things. But if you use it, it goes away. So if you go past a certain amount, next year you're $2 million less. Next year you're $3 million less. There's a bow wave anytime you conduct business, because there's a lot of wage increases. Everything goes up in this world, and we haven't even been collecting our automatic 1%. So we're living completely within our means. So when it goes up by 10%, you can see how that would affect the bottom line. So we're literally breaking even this year with how much we're spending, because we're spending a little bit more than it looks like on the budget. But when it's over with, it comes out even how much came in and how much went out. This year we're going to be a little tighter, because I don't like to go backwards, but we'll see what happens.
Well, that question was a little off field because how did the other candidates want to address that? Well, that was addressed to him. Do you want to address that? Anything on this subject? I know it was aimed at Randy, but okay. Didn't want to go down that rabbit hole. Okay.
Next question.
Yeah, forgot what it was. Okay, we're on the last one, right? Yes, we skipped it. But this I think is important. We heard in the beginning why. What we like to know now is what skills and experiences that you bring to the table, and why should voters choose you? Is that a good question?
Sure.
Okay. Well, who wants to start that one?
Start with that.
Will? Go for it.
I think it's a great question, and I remember focus very much on skills and experience, and I want to ground it with our county is changing, okay? And I think that's very critical in this election and who moves into these county commissioner seats, because we need a leader that can handle change and is quick to adapt. I bring a 40-year career of consistently moving and switching jobs. I changed jobs 20 times in the last 40 years. Every one was a promotion upwards. It was at a different level, a different complexity, greater increase of responsibility. 24 years in the Air Force, left as a colonel. 15 years supporting Department of Energy as a project engineer and project manager, where I led teams, coached people, and trained folks. We delivered million to billion-dollar projects. That's what we did. My technical background, I have a bachelor's in civil engineering, I have a master's in civil engineering, I have a master's in strategic studies. I'm a licensed professional engineer in our state. I'm certified by the Project Management Institute as a project management and risk management professional. I think these are skills, these are proofs of education that are very critical as we move forward. I'm on the Mason Planning Commission and Transportation Advisory Panels. In 24 years in the Air Force, in the engineering and community support area, it was constant change. It was constant new challenges and demands. And let's talk about that. Because as I talked earlier, it's up or out. You either learn, you deliver, or you're out. So as the chief of engineering department responsible for all community planning, design, and construction, and think about what our community, what our county is about to embrace, okay? In 2 years, we delivered $12 million worth of projects. We designed and constructed and had a ribbon cutting on multiple road projects, on a base theater, on a sewer upgrade, on a refuse plant upgrade. 2 years, 4 or 5 projects, and that's just part of the list. Led multiple public works divisions, including in Okinawa, Japan, 820 people working for me, okay? And I really like to say working with me because it's a big team effort. $80 million a year. Working with our senior NCOs, that organization won Unit of the Year honors in Pacific Air Forces, and I was selected out of 60 senior officers as the Senior Officer of the Year. Was Deputy Director of a construction program for one of our major commands, $2.8 billion around the world. Dang it.
You said, dang it, were you only halfway through?
Yeah, we'll go. They'll be opposing.
Okay, who wants to follow that one? Oh, there you go, Tom.
There was one about. I think what Will said there was really important. I think for me in my position, I think leadership and the ability to adapt. I work in an industry and have for the better part of my life, but for the last 17 years owning a business in Mason County with a notoriously high turnover rate. And in the same way that I've found information by talking to the county, we looked at ourselves for the first 7 or 8 years of being a full-scale restaurant as being a training ground for other restaurants and businesses in Mason County. We continue to lose good employees after training them for years to places like the casino or the Aldeburgh Resort. So we took a hard look at why that was happening. And what we decided was that we needed to be better for our employees. We needed to provide them with an environment that was positive. We lead in a way that we pull our employees forward rather than pushing them. We started paying our cooks in particular well above the going local rate that a line cook would make. We gave them schedules that made more sense for them and their families. Our lead line cooks now are at $20 to $23 an hour. They work 4 10s. They make $5 to $7 an hour in tips without a college education. And the second that we made that commitment to our employees, the entirety of our business changed. The attitudes in our business changed. We noticed that people stuck around for years. I've got 4 employees right now that have been with us for 5 years or longer. I had one that left us after 11 years. She went on to move to work for the state of Washington. She's now running a department with the state after 3 years. Just this past week, my lead line cook came to me and he said, Tom, I'm ready to take the next step in my life. And I said, Kevin, how can I help you? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And he said, what I want to do is I want to go work at the mill. And I said, I've got connections there. If this is something you really want to do, something you believe in, I'll support you in any way that I can. I made a phone call the next day. He had an interview. He starts orientation next week. Oddly enough, where he's going to work at the mill, his new boss will be the last guy that was in his position, who just had his 4th promotion at the mill and is now running a shift there. I think the same algorithm that we used in our place and really taking a hard look at compensation up front and taking care of your people first can work at the county level. From every level down, from the sheriff's department to the building department, I hear the same thing. As of the last I talked, so I sat down with Jennifer Byerly in the budgeting department, budgeting for the county. And at that point in time, we had 38 unfilled positions at the county level. When I grew up, and everywhere that I've ever been, county positions are always the most coveted jobs. You work near home, you have a great benefits package, and there's job security. For us to have 38 jobs that are unfilled tells me something. 2 of those positions have been there for more than 2 years. There's something that we're missing. There's something that we're not doing right, and we need to find a way to find out more innovative solutions to problems we face now.
Hey, Tom, you're on a roll that time. Guess what? Who wants to go? Pat?
So the question is, what's my experience and why should you vote for me? Well, I've been a business owner for 33 years and I have 5 patents. Well, in that time, we've seen lots of challenges and we've come up with solutions every time. At one point in time, we had a customer who took us from making 5,000 parts a week, and they wanted us to get to 4 million parts a week. Now, if you can imagine, that's a pretty steep growth curve. So, I know how to deal with the growth and stay within budget. And that's what we're going to have to do because Mason County will be growing, and we want to keep your costs down. So that's one of the experiences that I have. Coming up with patents, there's just 5 that I've gotten. I could have had quite a few more, but patents are a waste of time, actually. They don't do you any good. Big companies steal it from you, and you can't fight their attorneys. They have more attorneys than I have employees. So I've stopped trying to get patents, but when we developed a product, one of the ones we make now, I traveled the world looking for somebody who could make the machine to make these parts. I went to Japan and Germany, Switzerland, all up and down the East Coast. All of these manufacturers, not one of them could make my part that I'd already been making on my little homemade machine. So I built my own machine. And they're still working today. So those are the sort of things that I will bring. I am just stubborn as can be. When there's a problem, I'll find a solution. And it doesn't matter how long it takes or what has to be done, I will come up with a solution. Those are the reasons why I think I'm the right person for the job. Like I said, business owner for 33 years. I'm in a dead-end job. I'm president and CEO. I can't go any higher. So I think the commissioner's much the same. It's an executive level position for the county. Well, I've been in an executive position for 40 years now. I was head of research and development before I started Alpha Test. So I think I have the experience and the temperament to be a good executive. Again, Pat Tarzwell, I'm running for the Mason County Commissioner, District 2. Thank all of you for being here tonight.
So why me? That was a question I asked myself all the time, actually, when I first started this especially. It wasn't something I was ever looking to do or thinking I was gonna do, but as time comes around, you step up when you're needed. When your community needs you and they ask you, you step up, and I did. That's why I was here, and that's why I've continued to be here. You know, as far as education, I worked my way up from the beginning with nothing, as you know. I moved here, lived in a trailer with no power, no water. I had nothing. I got myself a GED, a high school diploma, an associate's degree, a bachelor's in business management, and a master's in leadership. You do what you need to do to step up as times come around. Why would you pick me? Because I'm the one that actually has already done it. It's so easy to think about all these things you can do, but when you try to put it into action, it never happens. How many elected officials do you see that didn't raise your taxes? It's so easy to raise them. We need money, I raise taxes. We have things we want to do, we raise taxes. We haven't, and we've still found a way to take care of everybody. The example would be the sheriff's department. As I said, when I came in, $9.7 million is $17.8 million budget this year, but we've given them more money since then. I'm not sure if we cracked the 18 million mark, but we're working on it. As you heard, we provide them with everything that they need the best that we can, and we do well. But why me again? Because I'm one that did it and knows how to do it. I stayed with it. I do a $180 million budget, and when we have turnover, which is constant in a business, and any business, especially if you're trying to find the right place to pay people instead of just giving away money for free, sometimes you don't have people that are working on a regular basis. When you have 400 to 450 people, a turnover rate of 30 or so is nothing. That's just the way it works in all businesses. It doesn't mean that it's bad, but as you heard, we found a way to raise our wages that we're paying those. We pay them according to what the job market says to do it. We don't just do it because we want to or because we're nice people. This is your money. And if we did it that way, we would be in trouble. We have years where we've paid Teamsters 1.78% increase. Can you imagine that? But that was the right rate for our comparables and for the state, and they signed on the dotted line and accepted it. The reason why you want me is because I've been here for all these things. It's one thing to know how to do something, but you need to know the people that are here. I know my opponent, when he put his video out, he called Tahuya Tahoya and Harson Island Hairstein. I know where Tahuya is. I know the people in Tahuya. I carried water one way and elderly people back when they had their floods. I'm the one that knows each and every aspect. When the poor Allyn went broke here just recently, it's me they called in. I stepped in to try and help them. We get the books done because I know how to do it. I've learned how. What makes me the best one to do this job is I've shown you each and every day I do, but even more than that, I've made myself completely accessible. When we were doing the COVID and the people talked me 4:30 in the morning, scared to death, I was there for them every time. Those that wanted the shot, even though I wasn't a supporter of it, I didn't like it, I got over 3,000 people their shot. So we take care of each other, that's why me.
I don't know about the energy of the heat. Hey, one of you took the jacket off. Wow, okay, that was 5 questions, hour and a half. Damn, I'm good. Got only half hour. Hang in there, because we're gonna have a few questions from some of you. And, you wanna hear from the state a little bit also, right? You wanna hear a few things, possibly. Go like this if you say that's good. Okay. So Dan and Travis, you can start pulling up. I'm only gonna have a couple of people ask. I see someone I know from the past too, who's really, come on up here, David. If you don't know this gentleman, this is David Overton. Been around a long time, family long time.
I'm not running for office.
No, he's not.
Thanks for allowing for this forum. And we gotta figure out a capital budget request for air conditioning. So, but Travis and Dan said they'd kick me if I said anything. I've heard a lot of statements from individuals about their background. And something that I look for in a leader is how they build teams and how they give out praise. And I think the biggest contrast I've heard tonight is the difference between I statements and team statements or attributing success. So I'd love to hear from the individuals tonight about how they define personal success and how they build teams, because we know this job is not about an individual, it's about running a government, and that's about partnership.
That's a good question. Who wants to take that one on first?
Sure.
Okay, Bill?
I can almost pick up where I stopped last time. Okay, and it's absolutely key. The leader is the person out front. It's about what we can do, not about what I can do. And so like I talked about as a squadron, yes, I was the commander, but we got the Unit of the Year honors. I talked about the senior NCOs and their involvement, okay? I often ask people, what's a great question in an interview? And that is, what's the difference between leadership and management, and what are you? It's real simple. You lead people. It's a team event. You manage things. I do both, okay? And it's all about bringing diverse groups together. You've heard me in other forums talk about this very same thing. And that's what we need to do. I was talking with one of the individuals in here about my frustration about our Congress back east, on how the two sides simply cannot come together. And again, I don't care what your party affiliation is. It's a real challenge for our nation. We've got to find a way to work together. It doesn't matter what letter you're associated with. And I think I know I bring a record of success building and delivering teams. I have 40 years in primarily DOD and Department of Energy, and you heard me talk about the DOE experience. It's about leading, coaching, and instructing. It's about developing people to be the best they can be, and it's amazing. You develop them. Yeah, when I hire someone, I don't necessarily look for who is the smartest. What I look for is who's most hungry, who's willing to come and work. I can teach anybody, okay? And that's the person I want. I want that team player because it's about what we do. It's not what about I do. It's about our community as a whole. Yeah, I think that answers David's question. Thank you for the question, sir.
You know, leadership is a funny thing. I hear so many different definitions of leadership, and I can tell you all of them are bull. How do you tell a leader? Doesn't matter what any book tells you. If you take a step forward, do they come in behind you and get it done? And yes, sometimes you have to take a step forward. Sometimes you have to be the one to take the beating. That's the way it works. So there are I's and there are we's both. A great example is the Belfair bypass and the thing we were able to put together that actually made a difference and actually got that bypass put into the project list when that gas tax came in. Nobody wanted the gas tax, but if it's going to happen, we wanted to have our project in it. So the West Sound Alliance was made up of all the leaders from all the different areas. I was talking to Derek Kilmer and telling him what I would like to see and how could we pull it off. There's no way these people would come together for me, but the idea that they would come together with the idea I would sell their project and they would sell mine. I can say in 10 words about you what you would have to say 100 words about yourself. In order to do that, we needed the leaders. We needed a county commissioner from Pierce County, Kitsap County, Mason County. We needed mayors from Paulsbo, Bainbridge Island, Port Orchard, Kingston. We needed EDCs from these areas. We needed the transits from these areas. And one of the reasons why you had to have this is because legislators, no matter how great they are, they may not look at you as your vote. Sometimes they look at you as your sphere of influence. These people had a sphere of influence, so we had to pull them together, and we did. We had Kingston selling our project. We had Bainbridge Island selling our project. Teamwork happens, but somebody still had to sit there and ask for it. And when we talked to Derek, the first thing he said was, it's never going to work. Those people hate each other. But the truth of the matter is it does work, because when you stand together as a team, sometimes that means you have to sit there and get beat up to do it, but as a team it finally gets done. That was finally put into the project. That's why we're looking at the beginning of it started in 26. There were things that slowed it up, but it's still continuing. But it's because, as a team, Bainbridge Island stood tall for us, because we stood tall for Bainbridge Island. Same thing with Jan Angel was a great example. She's one of the great legislators. She was a Republican on the other side. We wanted to go visit her. She reached down to them. She says, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to do this for you. And I've known Jan for years. I gave her a hug. I whispered her in her ear. She backed back out and said, and I'm going to do this for you and this for you. That's how we do things as a team. It's always a team. But somebody still has to stand up. Somebody still has to walk in the front quite often. There is a difference between leadership and hurting people But sometimes you do have to lead, and you shouldn't always be pushing from behind. Thank you.
Okay, you're set. You made me think of something. Where's Sheriff? Is he still there? Right. Yeah. He's outside. I was in the Army, and I was in leadership. I was Queen of Battle. Anybody know what that was? Yep. And they had a little patch that we used to say, "Follow me." I went, "That's leadership? In combat? Not good." Just imagine.
So I think the two elements of that question from David were one about personal success and two about team building. I think that personal success is relative to what you're doing at your job or what you're doing at home. For me, personal success starts with how I am raising my daughter, right? Am I creating a more kind, compassionate, and intelligent human being that's going to do better things in the world than I did? And that answers that question. As far as in business, personal success in business for me as a leader of my business, of my company, is how the people around me succeed, how they move on, how they move up, and what they go on to do in their lives. Team building. When we interview and hire people, more often than not, I will hire a person in a position knowing that they'll start there, but I'm actually hiring them for the next stage in their development. And knowing that they are going to work and learn in our business and grow with us. To do that, you've got to be a pretty good judge of character to find out who a person is when you hire them, but also identifying the traits in them that will make them more successful where you're going to put them. And I think over the years, we've proven that. You know, we've had restaurant employees for 8 to 10 years that have moved on to do really cool things in their lives. And I think I see a lot of personal success in that. Seeing them grow and flourish and move on is the most rewarding thing that's happened for me in my life, I think.
Well, thank you for that question. Team building's pretty easy. You build a team. But how do you actually do that? You teach people how to do a job. You watch them, you let them give the feedback, let them give you their input, their ideas, and let them develop into more than they could have been. It helps you in your own business, but it always helps them move on to, generally they go on to another business. They end up either starting a company or going to work for somebody else and being successful. So every time you build a team, you have a risk. You have some risk. Because when you train people to do their job and be very effective, you're going to lose them. Ultimately, my job, and I tell all my employees, your job is to train the people below you to replace you. I need people that are willing to step up and take the next level and replace the people as they find something better to do, retire, whatever. When we were in business 33 years, well, we lived in Phoenix, Arizona. And why would we move up to Washington? I mean, that's just crazy. Nobody goes from Arizona to Washington. Well, my business partner was diagnosed with skin cancer. Doctor said, get out of the sun. So what did we do? We picked up the business and we went to where there was no sun. You can all appreciate that. Except today. The definition of success to me is happiness, gratitude, enjoying what you do, and putting your best foot forward. Doesn't matter how much time it takes. It's just happiness. I've shown pretty good longevity. My wife is really stubborn. She stuck with me for 47 years, so here she is back there. It really is. That's success. It's not a monetary thing. It's, are you happy with what you've done in your life? And I gotta say, I've been very happy and very blessed in my life. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Hold on a minute. Okay, we've come to a point where I'm going to pass up. We're going to do a mad minute closing. 1 minute, guys, this time. 1 minute. Closing remarks to hit it home. And then I want to hear from the Dan and Travis show. These two are like, the traveling 35th district cheerleaders. Is that fair enough, Dan? Okay. Travis is all in. By the way, these candidates, you two at least, I didn't get you guys because you're a different district. It's not too late. Yeah, it's not too late, not till November. Community Club 360, you heard about it? Okay, you need to know about this stuff. That's an Allyn Community Association that has a studio in Allyn. And we've been interviewing people in the community, and we just interviewed Will and Randy, and we'll get these two on the books. We interviewed Dan and Travis, and it's not about politics, it's who they are. And it was really wonderful stories, and I think that's why you saw some of that today. So if you two are up for it, we'd like to do your district too, okay? So that's in our office. So if anybody you know that you'd like to hear about to be interviewed, and go to our YouTube channel, Community Collab. By the way, the collab came from young people who said collaboration. And I said, yeah, it's a good term. He said, but it's collab. And I went, okay. There we are. We are Community Collab, collaboration, 360. Why 360? I don't have a clue. 360, 360 the moon, I don't know. But anyway, circle, whatever. Okay, with that said, we're going to do a 1 minute closing. Okay, that'll go okay? Because we're dying here. But Dan and Travis show should be good, I hope. Who wants to start with the mad minute? 1 minute. This is a tough one.
Pick one, Richard.
Pick. Ready?
There you go.
This is mine.
1 minute. Everything that I've ever done in this community, I've done with you. You took me in, you raised me, you allowed me to be a part of the greatest community in the world. I get so much love and hugs. If you ever went with me to go get a gallon of milk, it can take me 20 minutes to an hour and a half to get to a store. My wife just showed up here and she knows it's true. She'll come back 20 minutes, 30 minutes later after doing all the work, of doing all the shopping to find me only 10 feet further. But she's okay with that. She says that's her way of giving back to the community, is giving me to everybody. I love being that gift. I love being there for you, with you, and I really appreciate the fact that you made me one of the longest serving commissioners in history, one of the few 3-term in a row commissioners in history. And I'm honored just that you've considered me valuable enough to represent you. I appreciate it. If you choose me again, I'll still be thankful as you could ever imagine. I'll fulfill my term because I've never quit anything. I appreciate you. God bless you.
Right, Will. 1 minute.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to pick up where I left off because I think it's a good one. Why vote for Will? My last job in the Air Force, I had 1,000 people, $100 million a year, or if you will, 148 in today's dollars. It was a community support director. It was engineering. It was security. It was public works. It was all the logistics, food services, and building. If you will, I've done this job. Okay, it's a different setup, but I've done it. And it was down at the Nevada Test and Training Range. And just for perspective, we got 1,000 square mile county. That's a 4,500 square mile range. I understand distances. I can do this. Let me be clear. Experience matters, okay? However, it's the right experience that is crucial. It's not any experience. It's experience educationally and in production side. It's experience leading teams and delivering a product. I have 40 years of doing that, and every 2 years, it's a different job with more demands. It's absolutely critical. I'm recognized, I'm done. Thank you very much. Vote for Will. God bless you.
So I'm only here tonight in the interest of public service. I've for years have had a yearning and want to do more for our community. For those of you that I don't know, or if you didn't miss an opportunity to ask a question that you weren't able to ask me today, my doors are open, my email's open, my phone's open, you can find that online. Reach out to me, let's talk, let's create a dialogue. I really want to focus online on bringing people in our county back together. I think for the last decade or so, we've been divided, and I think the more that we can get together and venues like this, or venues like Oyster Fest, the county fair, the more we can all remember that we are all alike more than we are apart. Regardless of who you vote for at the national level, we in Mason County are all living in the same place. We're all doing the same things. We are all one. And I really want to see us all come together again in a better and brighter way. Thank you all for being here. My name is Tom Beben. I'm a candidate for County Commissioner in District 2. Please reach out if you need anything.
That's not bad, those minute things were pretty good.
Well, again, thank you all for being here. I just throw this into a minute. We love Mason County. We chose to move here from Phoenix, so we love it. It's just awesome. When we first moved here, we volunteered to help out. We also went to Mason County Republicans meeting, and I was appointed to be on the 35th Ledge District. I showed up for my first meeting, and I was nominated to be the chair of the 35th Ledge District. I'll give you my campaign speech. Don't vote for me, and if elected, I won't serve. I still won. So I've been serving this community from behind the scenes for a lot of years. I was Dan Griffey's campaign manager originally. I helped with Drew McEwen. I worked for just about everybody in the political realm. That was short. Thank you.
1 minute.
Thank you for doing it.
Hey, Dan, come on up. Travis, come on up. Hey, folks, you've been awesome hanging in here in this hottest day of September. You have a question, sir?
I have a statement and a question.
Okay, how long is that statement?
Give me a minute.
1 minute.
Yeah,
Time it. Come on up.
I don't need it, I can talk loud enough.
Boy,
All right, I'll come.
there you go.
All right. Don't count the minute walking out.
Yes, my name is Bill Brewer, and I'm from Timberlake, and most of the people here have probably been in this county longer than any of you. So we've seen growth. You guys talk about growth and community safety, growth and taxes. People, we can't even support the sheriff right now on his need for help. If you go to growth and taxes, especially growth, the traffic going through in and out of this county is atrocious now. What is it going to be if you have growth and nobody on it? No, excuse me. Okay, yeah, and we can't support the sheriff, and State Patrol has a problem. But traffic is important, and I want everybody, you guys especially, to understand, address them now along with your others.
I know they want to jump in there right now, okay. I'm one of these likes to start on time and end, okay? Where's the Dan and Travis show?
We're here, are we gonna, are they gonna
Right
answer
up
the
here, you're
question?
coming right up here. One of you grab that microphone, one of you grab the phone. Now, the other day when we were interviewing them, by the way, I think yours is probably going live tonight. And then you're probably this weekend. Watching their videos and who they are as people is really interesting. And then the two of them together is like, this is a show.
Richard, you're standing between them
Yes,
getting cold.
I know.
And
so go for it, Dan.
what do you want? So, thank you so much for being here. My name is Dan Griffey. I'm the Dan that he keeps talking about. I live here in Lakeland Village. I've lived my entire 53 years in the 35th district. Most of them right here in Allyn. I grew up here. I'm a hometown boy. I serve as your state representative in the 35th district, and I have for the last 10 years. With that, is that what you were asking for, Richard?
Close enough.
Usually, I would show up in respectful attire, but I did not know I was going to have the mic, so don't hold that against me. Thank you so much. I will be in the back if you guys have questions on your way out. Thank you.
He's running unopposed, that's why.
I'm Representative Travis Couture. I'm one of the newest members of the 35th delegation. It's an honor to serve you in the State House in Olympia. I barely own respectable attire, so this is what you get to see me in unless it's on the House floor, and then it has to be a suit. And I just, round of applause for these guys. You know, it's not easy to put yourself out there and run for office, and I think everyone can tell that each one of these gentlemen really cares about where they live. And so I think it was said before, at the end of the day, we're all neighbors, and we all got to pull the rope in the same direction. And so I just really want to get you out of here on time. So I'll end it and say thank you so much for attending, and thank you for all the support you've given me and Dan over our last term here, the last 2 years. And looking forward to doing more great things for you in Olympia. Thanks.
Right on, okay. I understand the candidates will talk to you, but probably outside. It's a lot cooler, so with that said, thank you for putting up with the weather. Have some shower, and ask your questions. Well, they want to stand here, but I'd say go outside and have a good night.